The Full-Time Review Show is brought to you and supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling, equipment rental, and also by Craig International, who are paving the way for global sustainable procurement. With concern for the environment at the front of everybody's minds, they are committed to helping their customers work more sustainably and are taking steps within their own business to reduce their carbon footprint. Our industry-leading EcoBuy initiative allows Craig International to work with suppliers to ensure sustainable product options are available at all levels. This is a fundamental part of their business strategy, and they're dedicated to ensuring that real progress is made. And also by Abu Dhabi-based Quipco International, who offer manufacturing and repair services to the oil and gas industries. I would personally like to thank owner Alan Cameron for his support with ABTV and beyond. These are the pre-kickoff scenes yesterday at Hampden Stadium. Video coming courtesy of Paul Hannon as the Dons made it to another Scottish Cup final. It was difficult, it wasn't pretty, it was a hard watch, but that doesn't matter. It's a results business, and all that mattered was that we made it to the final, and we did just that. A Craig Gordon own goal on 18 minutes, with Lauren Shanklin equalising 10 minutes later, and then Uday Dabag right at the death in extra time with the winner. And again, thanks to Paul Hannon for sending me through these fantastic video shots of our post-match scenes. It means that we now face Celtic in the Scottish Cup final on Saturday, the 24th of May, 2025. It's our third Cup final this century. It will be our 17th Scottish Cup final appearance and not contested a final since so narrowly losing to Celtic back in season 2016-17. Hello everybody, how are you doing? A very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV. This Sunday night we're into a final. Come on. Oh my God. It's so good to be back in a final, but oh my goodness, did we make hard work of it. Andrew Budge and I have put together some analysis for you to sort of show you why it was difficult to get over the line yesterday. And fair play to Hearts, because I think Hearts deserve a lot of credit yesterday for the way they defended after going down to 10 men. I thought they put in a really good shift and they made it very difficult for us. But if we are going to win this cup come the 24th of May, by God, we're going to have to play an awful lot better than that. This is your opportunity for you to have your say tonight on how you felt the game went. I thought we started awfully. Absolutely terrible. Then we grew into it. And then the second half, I just felt we were really ponderous. What did you think? I almost felt like we were hoping something was going to happen instead of making something happen. And I think that was the big difference yesterday. But don't want to put too much of a negative spin on it because it's absolutely brilliant that we've got to a final. I was also delighted to see the chairman come out yesterday and absolutely ask for a 50-50 split, and so it should be. And it's very simple. It's a very, very simple argument here. It goes 50-50 because every football club deserves a level split. Every club. I don't care how big or how small you are. You deserve a 50-50 split. You then have a cut-off date. And if you have not sold out your allocation by that cut-off date, then those remaining tickets should be allowed to go to your opponents to see if they can sell them as well. I have absolutely no issues with that whatsoever. But it 100% should always be a level playing field. It's two teams contesting a final, which means it should always be a 50-50 split. Anything else is archaic and nonsense and living in the dark ages, which sometimes our authorities are guilty of doing. So don't let us down. Delighted to see the chairman come out and say that yesterday. So we've got our usual housekeeping stuff tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been so looking forward to doing tonight's show, and I really hope you can join in. And let's just see how far we get on tonight. No time limit, so we can do as much as we want. Let's start with the team news, because the chairman, the gaffer, made one change to the game that started against Rangers, and he made the change in goal. And dearie me, didn't Dimitar look nervous in the opening 15-20 minutes, but thankfully he settled himself into the game and didn't really have too much to do, let's be honest. I've got the match stats for you, which I'll bring to you in just a second, which actually shows that over the piece, the two goalkeepers didn't really have an awful lot to do. So Antti Palaversa and Leighton Clarkson played in the middle, Shaden over on the right, Toppy on the left, Papa Gay played the number 10 role, and Kevin Nisbet played up front on his own. So it's basically the same starting 11 that started against Rangers, the only change being Dimitar Mitov in goal. So here are your match stats from the game. So we enjoyed 61% of possession to their 39. We had 18 shots in total, of which only 4 were on target. 4. And we only had one shot on target after they went down to 10 men and before Uday scored the winner. Oh, it just goes to show you, doesn't it? And again, look at that. We forced Craig Gordon into 3 saves over the piece. Dimitar didn't have to make a single save during the game. We won 10 corners to their 4. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get Andrew on. This segment, it's about 10 minutes long. We've broken the game down for you to look at the negatives and the positives as well. So we'll get that out the road. We'll hear from the manager on the other side, and then I'll start getting you guys on. So let's, as always, welcome... Sit down, you. Let's welcome to the show, as always, Andrew Budge. Hi mate, it's good to see you as always. Thanks for coming on. Okay, so we'll get into the analysis in just a moment. But before we do that, just give us your general thoughts on how we played yesterday.
Yeah, well, I guess first and foremost, into the next round or the final, that's the main thing. But I thought it was pretty underwhelming, to be honest. I thought Hearts probably looked more dangerous than us with 11 men. And I guess the first red card had a huge bearing on the sort of way the game played out. Into the second half, we'll get into this, but I don't think we really struggled. We really did struggle to break them down. They were really compact, and we just looked out of ideas, to be honest, up until sort of maybe second part of extra time, or where we actually started to look a bit more dangerous. But yeah, a great moment for Dabba to score late on. The main thing, performance can come second. We're into the next round, so that's the main thing.
Mate, just before we get into the first graphic, I was really shocked at how badly we started yesterday. And I even put out a post saying, hello guys, we're 15 minutes in, any chance you could turn up? Why did we start so badly?
Yeah, I was really surprised at that. It was quite unusual because usually that's kind of us that maybe starts okay and then someone gives us a bit of a sucker punch of a goal and we're left there thinking after a positive start we're on behind. But it was the complete opposite. Hearts started well and were really on top of us, and we kind of got a sucker punch of a goal, which kind of feels really unusual for us this season. But yeah, really sloppy, and sort of going forward into the split we're going to have to definitely be a lot sharper.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, let's get into the analysis then. So first and foremost, the thing that really struck me as the pattern after they went down to 10 men is that we simply couldn't break them down. Graham Shinney said it in his post-match interview yesterday that they were always going to go with a 2 banks of 4, which is exactly what they did. But the fact that we couldn't break them down was a little bit frustrating for me.
Yeah, it really was, especially after having the experience last week against Rangers up against 10 men. I would have thought we'd maybe been a bit of a better place to sort of break down a really compact block. Fair play to Hearts. I thought they did defend really well, but I mean, I really don't think they showed much threat going forward, apart from a couple of sort of transitions. But in their sort of low defensive block, they were really effective at sort of cutting out or minimizing any chances we sort of could create. I think pulling up the graphic here, the thing to pull out is how little space there is. They kind of went between 5-3-1. Sometimes one would go further forward into like a four, but in this example here, you can see it's sort of like a 5-3-1, and there's just so little space in between the lines. There's a bit of space out wide because they're just trying to funnel us out wide where there's a lot less threat than in the central areas. But we really did struggle to break them down. But yeah, I did thought Hearts did a really good job in that respect. We just didn't have any ability to sort of play through central spaces there, given how crowded the centre of the pitch is. Whether that is trying to play through Pape, he would have been a bit more effective in the first half when it was a bit more of an open game and we could play sort of diagonals to him when it was a bit more open. But when they're really sort of low in a defensive block, I think that kind of minimises his impact sort of aerially. And then when you see picking out sort of Keskinen trying to run in behind there with Clarkson on the ball, with them being so deep, it's only a perfect pass that's going to reach him there because anything else I think either goes out of play or the keeper can sweep up. So yeah, what just to reiterate is there was just so little space for us to play through. But what I did think was what we potentially didn't do well was so many of our players in one sort of attacking line here. So in the example, you can see all of that front four with Morris off to the right, off picture, all of them within one line. And that makes it so difficult to actually create chances and play through teams because there's no sort of no one coming deeper. There's just no positional rotations. It really does make it difficult to actually just play through a team because they know where you are. And in this example in particular, I think, say if Jens now we've marked out here, if he drops a little bit deeper, what that can do is that attracts Cammy Devlin, pushes him a bit wider. And what that does is just create more gaps in between, say, for example, that midfield three they've got there. It's so tight and compact as it is in this example. It's really difficult to sort of play a sort of progressive pass through into the feet of Pape or Nisbet. But the wider you make them, if you have players in different sort of lines and different areas, you really try and drag that and make that as wide as possible. That would have really helped. And I think we did start to do that in extra time, which we'll come on to. But yeah, that was one sort of failing where I thought we really did struggle, and I really don't think we got our build up right at all yesterday. But yeah, as we said, there was definitely some improvement into extra time. I think the subs made a big difference. I think Ockles and Povar did definitely have a huge impact, and we'll come on to Povar in a minute. But yeah, I thought we started to look better, and we started to sort of have a bit more of a game plan on how to break them down and sort of manipulate their defensive shape. And because the first or second half, they were just so comfortable standing in players in front of us, and they didn't really need to move around or make many decisions. But yeah, so looking at this example here of an extra time where I thought we looked a lot better, what we're seeing here is Keskinen, no, sorry, Keskinen, Ockles dropping deeper, and then what that attracts the man we've highlighted from Hearts out of their defensive shape. So in this example, you can see Ockles isn't in that same line. We haven't got five players in the line anymore across the edge of their box. He's came deeper. And what that does is, as we've indicated, that creates the space for Shinnie to drive into. So it just shows you how sort of one little positional rotation drags one player out of position, and that creates the space. And that's just what we weren't seeing in after half time, really, but we did definitely see in extra time. So yeah, in this example, as you can see, Shinnie's got a great opportunity then to cut the ball back. Dabag, I think he has a decent effort low to Gordon's left, but he does well to save it. But I just wanted to sort of reiterate how much better it was in the extra time to sort of have a bit more of a game plan to try and pick apart that Hearts block. And it was really sort of more encouraging in extra time.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought the substitutions most definitely helped. As
Yeah.
we spoke last week, we highlighted that inefficiencies against Rangers, but against Hearts yesterday, I thought the majority of them made the difference. Particularly Dante Polvara. I was delighted he got on, delighted to see him back, and I think he's really got a role to play during the split. And you've picked out a couple of examples for us where his impact play and his driving forward really helped us.
Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant all-round performance. Even just coming on just after 90 minutes, he made such an impact in the sort of less than 30 minutes he was on the pitch. A really all-round performance. I thought he was tidy on the ball. He took up really good areas and linked the play nicely. Thought he was a box threat as well. He was good at sort of making these late runs into the box and where he was a bit of an aerial threat. even just in really tidy in midfield, winning second balls and headers. But what impressed me most was his sort of running capacity. In this example, we sort of demonstrate this really clearly, picking up the ball sort of in our own half and just really driving into the Hearts into their half, right past Kent, who was a substitute as well, but just could not match him for pace or sort of power. And yeah, I just thought his running capacity was great. Moving on to the next sort of screenshot, you can then see after running sort of 50 yards, he still then has the composure to slow himself down a bit, pick a pass into Ockles, who maybe could have done a little bit better, but it's quite a tight angle. But yeah, a brilliant all-round performance from Polvara, and I really hope to see more of him. It does make me think, I wonder why we've been sort of holding him back for so many weeks now, because he just looks like such a brilliant player when he's on his game. But yeah, I really hope more to see in the coming weeks from him.
What I was particularly delighted about yesterday was the winner. Great to see the substitutions getting involved, and it was great to see Jack Milne so far forward as well, whose shot was obviously parried for Debag to score the winner. But what you've highlighted here is how the red card for Devlin actually really helped us.
Yeah, it had a huge impact, even just in the final minutes of the game. What we can see when we pull up the example is that's exactly where we had our most joy in that right hand side. That's exactly where Devlin was. They sat in their five at the back with three in midfield, and then even Shanklin went off. But that three in midfield, Devlin was on the left hand side. And when you look at the winner, it's our right wing, it's where it comes from. So you can see here, I think it's Clarkson on the ball, who again, brilliant sort of progressive play from him, just pinging those passes out wide. And it's that sort of overload we've got. We highlighted Penrice. He really needs support there because he's got Polvara on one side of him and he's got McGrath for the cross on the other. That's exactly where Devlin would have been. And I feel like we should have maybe and earlier in the game been able to find other numerical advantages like this. But when you're down to 9, that's where it becomes even more apparent how much they would have been struggling here. But yeah, Penrice can't deal with them both. It's a great sort of low ball in from McGrath. A really good sort of nice little touch around the corner from Jack Milne, and yeah, then the finish from Debag, which was brilliant. But yeah, as you said, it was great seeing all three of the subs sort of linking up for that goal. And yeah, I thought to its credit, Yemi did a good job of changing the game. I did sort of question when sort of Keskinen and Morris were coming off for more central players, like McGrath and Polvara, but again, they all linked up for the goal brilliantly. But yeah, what a moment at the end. Credit to everyone who went down for the game, and yeah, they were rewarded with a brilliant last minute winner.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Just absolutely thrilled that we've managed to get ourselves back into another cup final. And what's really great is that we've still got so much to play for as well. Whereas sometimes the end of seasons feel like a damp squib. But, we're still within touching distance of third place. We've now got a cup final to look forward to. And I guess now it just gives us more impetus to finish the season really strongly. But we face a very difficult game on Saturday against Hibs.
Yeah, they will be very difficult. They're just in such good form. I didn't see this coming at all. Our seasons have been completely opposite. Yeah, it's going to be a really tough game, but we should be right up for it now. We should have a lot of momentum coming in from the past two games. I'd like to see us, as you said earlier, start a bit more brightly. But yeah, I think we've got a great opportunity if we can get 3 points next week. That really does open up for a great finale in the last final 4 to 5 games. Yeah, hopefully more to come.
Yeah, brilliant. Andrew, thank you so much as always, mate. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you again next week after the Hibs game.
Yep, cheers. See you next
Brilliant,
week.
mate. Thanks, fella.
Thank you. Bye.
My thanks to Andrew. Right, here's the manager giving us his thoughts on the second half performance.
Well, I think we did learn some lessons from the last week against Rangers, how they when they tried to push and the transitions against us, and a little bit also hesitation in the crosses. Today we put more crosses and were more stable in take care of the transition. But Hearts did really well. They start the game really well, and there's always a set play there or a transition against you. But the team was more balanced today. They take more responsibility and learn a lot from last week, and they did it really well because it's not easy to get stressed and you force it, but they were stable, and then finally we managed to get that goal.
That's what the manager had to say, and here are all your newspaper headlines after yesterday's victory as well. This graphic comes courtesy of @Don's Collector on X, all talking about Uday, Yabba Dabba Doo, and Uday in the sun. What a magnificent winner it was as well, and I thought, I have to say, Despite his frailties last week against Rangers, I thought he really put in a shift, as did all the substitutions that came on yesterday, and they made all the difference. Let's get you some more post-game scenes. This video comes courtesy of Paul Donaldson. Thank you so much to everybody who sent me videos yesterday. This was the moment that Uday went up to take a selfie with the fans in the background. Absolutely fantastic to see. 13,000 fans made the trip to Hampden yesterday for a 12:30 kick-off. I thought it was a magnificent effort from all Dons fans who went down there yesterday. And your noise and your support absolutely kept the lads going and helped them get over the line. And two very special fans enjoyed their day out yesterday. My competition winner, Kevin Tom, who won the 2 tickets thanks to my friends at Craig International, Steve McCarty, Joint Managing Director, who very kindly donated 2 tickets to the semi-final, and Kevin won those tickets. He is a member of ABTV, and I put those tickets out to my members, which is just my way of saying thank you for your commitment to ABTV here on YouTube. Kevin took his son. He didn't let him know until yesterday morning that he was going, and the two of them, as you can well imagine, had an absolutely brilliant time. Right, one last thing to do before we get you guys on. There is a very special event coming up at the Music Hall 2 days before our Scottish Cup final. And I'm telling you, this is going to be one hell of an event. I've already spoken to John McLeish today, the event organiser, and we want to turn this into one pre-game party. This is basically to celebrate the last time that we won the Scottish Cup 35 years ago. It's criminal that it's been that long. But Brian Irvine, Theo Schnelders, Alex McLeish, Hans Heelhuis and Charlie Nicholas, they will be together, Hans and Charlie, on stage for the first time since they played for Aberdeen. It's going to be a very special event. I really hope you can come. And I've got something very special for you as well. Exclusive offer to my viewers. We are giving you a 25% discount on tickets. All you need to do is register on the Aberdeen Performing Arts website. Once you've done that, use the code AFC1990 and you will get a 25% discount off the tickets. So AFC 1990, but please don't forget to register on the Aberdeen Performing Arts website. That is going to be one hell of a night, and I cannot wait to host it. Oh my goodness. And then 2 days later, it's a cup final. Oh. Right, let's see how you're all doing. Oh my goodness, we've got a lot of you on tonight. Good to see you. How are we doing? Right, Cameron Young came on and said, good result yesterday after we just managed to scrape the result over extra time and into the final against Celtic. On to Saturday now against Hibs. Hopefully we can get the result and get the 3 points. Barry Cole says, good evening, Dandies. Not the greatest performance yesterday, but a win is a win. How Critchley can complain about the red cards is beyond me. Had it been reds for us, doubt he would be saying much. It was 2 stone walls. I don't understand what the problem is. If you know anything about football, anything, you will know that those were 2 clear red cards. Get a grip. Barry came back to say, I was worried about Pens. Glad Uday got the winner. Thought him and Paul Vary did well when they came off the bench. I thought Dante was brilliant yesterday. I really did. Lillian Miller came on and said, oh, what an Uday, followed by a bottle welding bigot from a certain Glasgow football club. Tried to antagonise us for half an hour before other passengers got involved. Thankfully, we're fine. Oh, I'm so sorry, Lillian. Dearie me. Seriously, what is wrong with people? Grow up. I hope you're okay, Lillian. Dearie me. It makes me sick, stuff like that. It really does. Paul Donaldson says, hi Ali, hope you're recovering well and feeling better after last week. What a day yesterday. Not the best performance, but we got there in the end. George Iron says, we need to be 100% better in the final. We live in hope. Come on, you Reds. Andy Wright says, I thought we were dreadful, but glad we got the win. Neil709 says, we were poor, but so were they. Final incoming. Elfie Dello says, good evening, Dandies. Not a great performance yesterday, but sometimes you have to win ugly. Great feeling to be going back to a final. Roddy Keenan says, good evening, Ali and everybody watching. Terrific result. Delighted for Uday. Real poacher's finish. Love it. Neil, I'm doing just fine after the op. Thank you, fella. It's still a bit tender and it's still a little bit drowsy. Gosh, have I slept over the past 48 hours? Dearie me. But doing just fine, mate. Simon Roy says, evening, dandies and fellow Reds. Hampden, here we come. Kilted Warrior is on, wishing you all a good evening. Kevin Tom's there. How are we doing, Kevin? He says, come on, you Reds. Paul Donaldson makes a good point, and I must admit, I wasn't overly happy when he came on, but Jimmy McGrath got a bit of a mixed reaction when he came on, but to be fair, I thought he played quite well. Jimmy got his substitutions right, I must admit, and I'm very happy to eat humble pie. I thought Jamie did just fine for us as well. Raymond Steele says, what a day. It was going mental when DeBag scored. Polvara was class. He must start again. Come on, you Reds. Rodney J. Lenny said, it should have been easy with 10 men. Well, you see, that's the problem, Rodney. I think we've just showed that it isn't easy against 10 men. Sometimes it's actually more difficult. But I do think we made it difficult for ourselves. But look, we got across the line. That's all that matters. No, can't be bothered. I haven't heard from you and Cameron, funnily enough. I was very tempted to text him, though. I might still do. David Scott says that was brutal, but we got there. We need to be a lot better in the final to have any chance. Oh, listen. You know, I watched Celtic today. Apart from some awful St Johnstone defending, again, Celtic were absolutely rampant. And I expect them to be rampant against us. We're going to need a 10 out of 10 performance from every single player on the day. But look, you just never know. It's a one-off game. It's a cup final. You never know what could happen. It's going to be difficult. We all know it's going to be difficult. But we need every single player to be at that absolute maximum, to play the game of their lives. And you just never know. But that's still another month away. And we're still going for third place in the league. So at the moment, cup final to bed for just now. Let's see if we can finish third. For me, that's the aim. Let's finish third. Let's finish the season on a high. Susan Casey said, game wasn't the best. Sore throat, aching legs, but so worth it. Now to get the confidence up in the next 5 games before the final. Hayden Ritchie says, good evening, dandies. How incredible would a Scottish Cup final win be? Noel Blaha is here. How are we doing, Noel? Thought Shankland was lucky not to be booked on a few occasions. Devlin playing the role of wind-up, feigning fouls, ended up getting what he deserved. I completely agree. He was fouling all day long. Sheep on Fire says, Hearts players going down like sacks of tatties, one after another. Not at all surprised. Definitely stopped Aberdeen's flow, but it doesn't matter how we get there as long as we're in the final. Simon Roy says, we need to play better in the final and attack more and pass the ball forward quicker. Polvara was great when he came on. Andy Wright says, thought our fans were excellent yesterday. There's some great footage kicking about. The one taken, I'm not sure who took it, but he's up in the main stand, quite high up in the main stand. And when Uday scores the winner, he just pans around the fans in the background behind the goal. It's just brilliant. For me, that just epitomises football. It's, you know, when people talk about limbs and all that kind of stuff, it was absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastically captured video. I don't know who took it. I wish I knew. But it gives you goosebumps watching stuff like that. John Kylo says, I've got no problems with McGrath. If we wanted him, we should have matched Hibs' offer. He's not accepting less to play for us. David Scott says, we were far too slow moving the ball. I agree. That's why I just thought we were so ponderous. Kevin Tom says, Shinnie ran himself into the ground. He did. With their equaliser, I just want to bring him to task for just a moment. First and foremost, I don't think Shayden Morris did enough to stop the cross coming in. This is where Shayden, I think, lets himself down, because Shayden puts in a shift. We know he does. But I said in the preview show that as much as I'm looking forward to getting him on the ball and getting him taking on one-on-one, he also needs to be very mindful of his defensive duties, and he wasn't for that equaliser. He was far too lackadaisical getting across. He should have done an awful lot more to stop the cross. And Derek McInnes made a very good point during the halftime analysis when he said, because Shinzo obviously went across to deal with the header, and he didn't have to. Derek said he doesn't have to win every single ball. And all that did was basically he left Lawrence Shankland wide open to collect the ball and have a free shot at goal. I thought Graham was immense yesterday. I think he's been brilliant for us at left back. But Derek's right. You don't always have to win every single ball. John Bleasdale makes a great point. I can't remember a debate over allocation when Wigan reached the 2013 final. Only in Scotland is this an issue. Absolutely, John. Thank you for bringing that up, mate. John Kyler says, at least the Celtic win pretty much guarantees us European football next season. Donald Mitchell was worried JT had made a big mistake putting Dimmy back in. Very shaky start, but he settled. Colin Gale says, I was delighted to win, but goodness, it was a struggle. I'm apprehensive about the final. It will be like climbing Everest wearing trainers. It will, and we all know it's going to be like that. David Goldralli Vid says, Paul Vara was very good when he came on. Can't be bothered is asking me, what end at the neutral venue of Hampden do you think we will get? Well, what do you think will happen, fella? Let's be honest. Only in Scotland. Tolak McAllen came on and said, Don's Min. Donald Mitchell says, we struggled to break down a low block, packed defence, but got there in the end. Was hugely worried about going to pens. Oh my God, I was pacing my living room yesterday worried about pens. No Blaha says, Kesslin kept them on their toes. I think there's a real talent there as he continues to develop. Rodney J. Lenny got a chance for European football now. Paul Hannon came back to say, evening Ali, hope you're feeling better today. I'm doing just fine, thanks Paul. Thank you for your videos, fella. Saturday was good to get the win against Hearts, but we need to start passing without giving away too easy. Also, my nephew Scott still not seen us lose. Honestly, he's becoming a very lucky charm for us, Paul. David Gall says, Hearts set out their stalls for penalties and didn't pull it off. They lacked discipline that ultimately cost them. There were a couple of very good performances in that Hearts team. I have to be honest, look, you know me, I always give credit where I think credit is due. And I thought when they went down to 10 men, I thought they were excellent. It was always going to be difficult with 10 men against us. But I thought they sat in and they defended superbly. And they gave us nothing. They gave us absolutely nothing. They gave us no room to play. They gave us no room to pass. So I tip my hat to them. I really do. And I'm delighted that we just had enough to get over the line. But again, you know, the manager said in his post-match interview that lessons had been learnt from the Rangers game. I agree to a degree. To a degree, but I'm not overly convinced by that line. Because in the second half, it was becoming a very difficult watch, and I was really starting to wonder how we were going to break them down. I think the substitutions made a big difference, and as you saw from our analysis, we definitely started to up the game and break them down more in extra time. But my worry is that going into what is now going to be 5 very difficult games in the split and then a cup final, that we must be more creative in the final third. We absolutely have to be. Not just to win football matches, but to win a cup final as well. We've got to be creative. So yeah, let's hope the lessons continue to be learned. Event Horizon says, I haven't seen us play that badly in a while, yet we won. How we'll do against Celtic, God only knows. Barry Cole is suggesting that he thought Morris was poor yesterday. Never got much on the ball, never really had a run at Penrice. Adam Binney says, over the moon to make it to the final, but we really need a better performance if we want to lift the cup. Gareth Harmon's here. How are we doing, Gareth? He said, I thought we were really boring to watch, but I'll take that every week if we win games. Pappy needs taken out of the team, though. Michael Robb, in regards to Shadon, said he was very quiet. Paul Donaldson says, hopefully in the next few weeks we can get players like Vinny and Tobers back from injury in time for the final. Vinny? Really? Tobers, yeah, but Vinny? Really? Paul Hurd said, nice to see Keskin and Uko starting to create a greater number of openings, but there needs to be a better understanding and plan of what their final ball needs to be. It was so wasteful at times. Sneaker Golfer, how are we doing? He says, we will always struggle against teams that sit in. Yemi likes to play on the break, and our current squad does not have a player to consistently pick apart a team that sits in. Barry Cole said, it's a massive game this weekend. Let's pack out Pataudry. Hibs, don't forget, only 3 points off them, I think. Colin Gale says, I think Uday DeBag deserves a permanent contract. I think he's a better prospect than Nisbet. Don't forget, Colin, though, that his parent club have just extended his contract for a further year. So if we're going to want him, we're going to have to buy him. It's as simple as that. Talok McAllen came back to say, what sticks in my mind is the shocking passing in the first half. They need to learn how to avoid that as they just give the ball back to them, that it needs to be held onto. Exactly. Just hold on to the ball. Paul Hurd says, great work again from Andrew, as Ali would say. Thanks, fella. Ryan Ellington is here, said, good evening, Ali and fellow dandies. Hope everyone is well. What a semi-final it was. Tough game, but we got there in the end. Roll on Saturday against Hibs and a cup final at Hampden. No Blaha came back to say Dorrington and Knussers were great. Knusser just works his butt off. Jensen class as well. Great crossing threat. Barry Cole is hoping that Dorrington is fit for Hibs. Don't forget he came off. It's his birthday today, by the way, Alfie Dorrington. His 20th birthday. So many happy returns, fella. Stephen Waters, I beg your pardon, says, evening all, was at the game yesterday. Cracking atmosphere. The two centre-backs were outstanding. I have to say, I thought they were. Donald Mitchell says, really strange performance from Shady Mo yesterday. Looked as though he was determined to conserve energy and last the game. By doing so, totally ineffective. So many of you are praising Dante Polvara's contribution to the game yesterday when he came on. Bradley Sullivan says, still buzzing after yesterday. Personally, I thought Clarkson was superb throughout. And also a shout out must go to Dante for his impact off the bench. Neil Strachan says, hi Ali, fantastic result yesterday and I will be going to the final. Scottish Man Cave says, we were so poor but the result is all that counts. Need to play better against that lot from the east end of Glasgow. Kevin Thomas suggesting that Polvara should start before Pape. Do you know what? I got to be honest. I wouldn't mind sticking Dante in that number 10 role. I got to be honest. That could maybe be a shout. Keith McDonald just coming on to say it was great to see Dante back. There we go. Right, guys, we've done nearly 40 minutes, so I'm going to call it a night. Thank you so much for watching. As always, it's been absolutely brilliant fun having you all on tonight. I've loved doing today's show. So we're going to be back for the preview show ahead of the Hibs game at the weekend. So I'll be back on Friday night for that. So all that's left to say is enjoy the rest of your week. If you've got any Hearts fans, mates kicking about, get it right up them. I found it quite interesting yesterday that a lot of them were having a go at us about the amount of fans that were there, you know, calling us a tin pot club and all that kind of stuff. It's just a gentle reminder that we had a 3-hour trip down the road. You had less than an hour across country. We have finished above you in the league, if my memory serves me correct, 11 out of 13 seasons. And we've never been relegated. Stand free.